Hi guys, today we're talking about the Wolff Audio Pro Patch. It's an all-analog patch bay that's software-controlled with over 1,500 relays to control 64 inputs to 64 outputs. There are no chips, no drivers, nothing in the way from point A to point B, so it's just like straight wire. First thing we're going to do is install the software. Go to the Wolff Audio website and download the application installer. I'm doing this on a Mac, but it's a similar process on a PC.
Once the Pro Patch application has downloaded, go ahead and click on it so we can run it, and go through the steps of the installer just like you're installing any other application. Once the installer is finished, I'm going to go ahead and quit out of the installer, and let's just throw it in the trash for now. I'm also going to quit out of the browser, and let's find the application in the applications folder. It's called Wolfhound. Once it opens up, you'll see the icon for the application in the menu bar up there. Go ahead and click on it. And now Wolfhound is looking for the Pro Patch. Sometimes this can take up to 30 seconds, so just be patient. And this is only for the first time you run the app. Once it's found the Pro Patch, the next time you open up the app, it'll be very quick. And there it is. Go ahead and click on that icon, and you can see the main window now. And there you have it. Now the Pro Patch application is installed, and we're ready to start adding devices and patching them together.
Now that the software is installed, and the software sees the Pro Patch, let's connect all of our gear. On the back of the Pro Patch are D-sub connectors, and on the front are TT patch points so you can integrate the Pro Patch with an existing analog patch bay.
So let's go ahead and zoom in here, and click on Config to add a new device. Bryce Gonzalez, BG2. That's one of my favorite compressors. Let's go ahead and add that. And it comes up as a monoprocessor. We have it connected to ports A1 for its input and its output. And now let's add another device. This one's my Cush Clariphonic. It's one of my favorite stereo EQs. So let's make it a stereo processor. And let's go ahead and assign it to patch points A3 and A4. There. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and save this configuration. It's always a good habit to have. Save your files. You can also hit Command S to do the save. And now let's go ahead and add another device. This time I'm going to add a mic preamp, a BAE 312A. And now this is a mono source. So we'll choose that. And let's assign it to B1. So that's one mic preamp. What if I want to create more of the same type? So let me show you this quick shortcut here. I'm adding the number 1 to the display name. And when I go up here and hit duplicate, look, the second preamp is automatically named number 2. Let's go ahead and assign it to B2 and duplicate again. And look at this, number 3. Let's go ahead and assign that to B3. There, super convenient. All right, I've saved it again. And now I want to show you something a little more complicated here. The R&D Shelford. It's a channel strip, and it's got a line input and an output on the back. So let's go ahead and call it a monoprocessor, except we'll rename it channel strip. And then we'll go ahead and assign it to patch points C1, input and output on the back. But it's also a mic preamp, so let's go ahead and click on New Node so we can use it as a mono source, and I'm going to rename it Mic Preamp. And now the second node is a mono source, and I'm going to go ahead and assign it to the same patch point, C1, because whether I use it as a mic preamp or a line level channel strip, its output will still be on C1. Now I want to show you another example. This time, let's click on New Device, and I have an Avitus Audio MD7 mic preamp. All right, so let's go ahead and set it up as a mono source and assign it to B4. And I'm going to go ahead and name this node preamp. All right, The cool thing about the MD7 is that it has a guitar level effects loop. So new node, mono, processor, right? Let's call this one guitar loop, okay? And I want to be able to connect this guitar effects loop through the front panel of the Pro Patch. So let's assign it to P1 input and output on the front panel of the Pro Patch. Let's go ahead and save this. And when we go to nodes over here, you can see no destinations yet, but here are my processors. Here's my Vetus MD7 guitar effects loop that I just set up, and my BG2 compressor, and my Clairphonic stereo EQ. All right, let's go to sources. My MD7 preamp node is there, and then my 3 BAE preamps, and my Shelford preamp. So now we need some destinations so we can create some recording chains. So let's go ahead and add my converters, all right? So I have an RME M32 multi-channel A to D converter, all right? So let's go ahead and set this up. We're going to call it a mono destination, and it's plugged into the back in port D. And before we create the next channel, I want to show you a trick here. So let's call this AD1, okay? That's the name of this node. And when we go to duplicate it now, look, automatically named AD2. So let's go ahead and assign that to patch point D2, and then duplicate that and assign that to D3. Let's do that again. Assign it to D4. And now we have 4 mono inputs set up. And now I'm going to set up a stereo input. So a stereo destination, all right? And we're going to call this AD34 because I want to reuse the input channels, the patch points for 3 and 4. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to assign those to D3 and D4. And now I can make mono patches into 3 or 4 separately, or 3 and 4 as a stereo patch. Now let's go over to nodes, click on that, and you can see all of our patch points here for mono and the stereo patch. And boom, now we have devices, sources, and destinations saved.
Now that we've connected our gear, let's use the Pro Patch application to define our patch points and our devices.
The easiest way to add or edit devices in a spreadsheet is to first take the devices that you've already configured and save those to a spreadsheet. So I'm exporting my devices to my desktop, and if I switch to my desktop, there it is. That file has all my devices in it. To open up the file, I'm going to double click it, and on my Mac it opens up in numbers, but you can use any spreadsheet. As you can see, manufacturer, product name, device, node, nothing confusing there. But look at these, device ID, node ID. Yeah, confusing. Let's delete those and just get them out of the way, because we don't need those. The Pro Patch will assign device IDs and node IDs when we import this back into Pro Patch. So now I'm going to show you how easy it is to add another device, right? So we have all these A to Ds. Now we need some D to As. Well, I've got an RME M32 DA. Yeah, so the opposite of the AD, right? And I'm going to go ahead and name that M32DA. And here I'm going to name the node DA1. All right? And this is a source, not a destination. And let's go ahead and make it mono. And then look up here. These mono sources, these mic preamps, are assigned to these ports in that column, but not in any of these other columns, right? So we'll do the same for our mono DA channel, but we're going to use D1, right? So D1 is the port that corresponds to channel 1 of the A to D. And now we're using the other side of port D1 as the input into the D to A channel. And now I'm going to show you how easy it is to add more channels to our D to A. I'm going to go ahead and add some more rows below, some empty rows, right? And I'm going to select this range. This is our first channel, and I'm going to drag it down. And there, now I have 8 channels of D to A, and that's what a spreadsheet can do for you. It can auto-number everything and auto-name things for you. All right? So let's go ahead and export this out of the spreadsheet as a CSV file, right? We got to include the table names, and we're going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to save it here as edit. Okay, and there it is. And now if we go to the desktop, there's our file. Let's open up ProPatch again and re-import it. And it's warning us now that we're about to lose our chains. That's okay. Let's go ahead and find the file. And yay, successfully imported. And now if we go over to our D to A, you can see all the channels that we added in the spreadsheet. And even the ports are correctly defined.
Now that we have our devices in the ProPatch application, let's dive into the cool stuff. First of all, you can create signal chains, like a bass chain or a vocal chain, multiple devices connected together without ever patching in a cable. Not only can you create multiple signal chains, but you can A/B between those signal chains instantly. Let me show you how.
We have all our devices set up now, but we don't have any chains. So let's create a new one. We'll start with a bass chain. And it says here to drag a source and a destination here. Where are they? There are nodes. So here are the sources and destinations. We'll start with this preamp, the MD7. That's our source. For destination, let's choose our A to D. Okay? Now I'm going to Command Z out of here because I want to show you a quick trick. Instead of dragging, double click the node and it just autofills the node into the chain for you. And now let's add a compressor to the chain. So we'll go under processors. Let's drag and drop the distressor right into that slot. And there's our chain. But I'm going to undo that and I'm going to double click to show you that I can do it that way too. And now let's create another chain. This one will be our vocal chain. All right, and for our source, let's choose this preamp, double clicking, and then let's go into channel 1 of this EQ, and then from the EQ, let's go into this compressor, double clicking again, and destination will be channel 2 of our A to D, and that's our vocal chain. Now let's go ahead and save this, and if we quit the application now, or even shut down the patch bay, when we power everything back up, both these chains will still be here. So now I want to show you something that would be impossible to do on a regular patch bay. So on this bass chain here, we've got a distressor. What if we want to A/B it with another processor? Let's go ahead and create an A/B. So now we've created another slot for another processor, and we can go to processors over here and look for something to compare to that distressor. So let's go ahead and choose a TL Audio 5021. One channel of it. All right, so there it is. We can A/B between those instantly. And if you look at those highlights there, those are telling you the nodes that are live, right? So you can see the devices and the nodes that are live as you A/B between them in this bass chain. And now I want to show you something even cooler. So over on this vocal chain here, I've got a Clairphonic EQ feeding a BG2 compressor. Now what if I want to change orders? Well, click and drag, right? And now I can click and drag again to go back to the original order. Pretty cool, right? But it gets better than that. Why don't we go ahead and duplicate this chain? So here we are, duplicate. And in the copy, I'm going to go ahead and click and drag to swap the order of the two processors. And if you look at the circle over here, that means that chain is live. So let's click on this circle to make this one live. But the previous chain is using all of these devices and nodes, so we have to first deactivate it. And there you go. But that's still pretty clunky. Too many mouse clicks to switch from one chain to the other chain. So I'm going to click this N, and now this whole chain is normalized, just like normals on a regular patch bay, and they're going to stay live until I break them with another patch, like that. Now those are broken, those are live, and if I click it again, back to the normals, click it again, back to the second chain, and now that's a super quick way to A/B between two different chains.
As you can see, ProPatch will change your workflow forever. You'll be able to use your analog gear just like plugins, and you'll be more creative in your process. To learn more, visit wolffaudio.com. Thanks for hanging out with me.